This is the Actor Factor podcast with Brad Ashton and Diego Garcia. Today's guest is actress Lidia Porto.
I'm Brad Ashton, and I'm here with Diego Villarreal Garcia.
Nice.
You like that?
Yeah.
I've been working on that.
On the Villarreal.
Yeah. I'm trilling. I'm a couple L's, couple R's. You got to work it all in there. I'm not bilingual like some people here.
I'm trilingual these days.
Oh, you'll try anything lingual. Yeah, no, but you actually are. You're speaking German now.
Yeah.
You're getting back on Spanish.
Yeah, I realized that I was learning German, which is fantastic. My girlfriend's from there. We've been going there for the last 6-7 years.
Oh.
And those first few years it's so tiring to be like waiting for your partner to help translate something. It just kind of makes the day a little long. So I was like, I need to learn this language. You know? So I dove in, and then I quickly realized that even my Spanish isn't really quite up to par.
Wow.
And Duolingo is amazing. So I just added Spanish to my Duolingo, and now I just do a few lessons a day in each language.
When did you start doing it? Is that something you got into in the pandemic? I don't know if most people did or did not do that.
Yeah, I guess it's been 3 years now that I've been doing German, and honestly, I added the Spanish this last year. It took me a little while to finally realize.
Any particular reason why you were doing the Spanish?
I just feel like I wasn't really competing well with some of the Spanish auditions that were given.
Are you doing a lot of those things?
I mean, I got a lot of voiceover auditions that way, and a few here and there commercials where it's just few minimal lines.
Is that what you did yesterday? I was trying to hit you up for something. You were busy yesterday.
I did a little voiceover. Yeah, I had to record that. Although I had to do that really late at night because I don't have my own little personal studio. I don't have that.
Who does?
That little voice box that people are building now in their homes.
People are doing okay.
It's really great.
So you have to wait till the night falls when the city goes to sleep, so it's a little quiet.
It's too loud. It's way too loud. I've got neighbors that don't know how to close a door.
Oh, the slammers. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm elevated. Luckily, I'm elevated, so I don't really have anybody around me, beside me, beneath me. It's just, but I live on Ventura Boulevard, and we're very busy here in the studio. And it's quite
another
busy.
Beautiful one.
It is another beautiful one.
But yeah, that was what I did the other day. What did you have an audition also recently? Yesterday, didn't I send you? I wasn't sure. You were like, I need your voice on this thing.
Oh yeah,
sure what I was doing
yesterday.
There.
So yesterday that was something else I won't be getting. It's I think I've gotten to the point in my career where I know quite a few casting directors. We've been doing this for some time, and I think they just really get excited about seeing my tapes. They just want me to tape. They want me just to audition. They don't really want to book me necessarily because oh man, this guy, he makes amazing tapes. You got to see his audition tapes. And which I kind of jest about that. But Diego and I, about a year ago, started actually stepping up our game a little bit in the taping world. We were trying to tape auditions as if we were shooting mini movies. We thought, how fantastic would it be if a casting director saw a short film, not a whole short film, but the 1 or 2 pages of your scene, or your 5 lines, or if you just stand there and you have to nod if you get one of those.
Right.
Like shoot it.
Good lighting, a good sound mix. We even added a little music to it.
Yeah, we had intro music, we had exit music, and in LA, our agents were like, "Yeah, this is fantastic, very cool." And then our Southeast agent said, "Don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again." And we actually submitted some tapes, a couple auditions like that. And whenever she shut us down, she said, "Don't do that again. It's distracting." It's like, oh, crap. Now I have to go back and shoot that again. So
if I were a casting person, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, this is
look at this. This is awesome. Well, I can see what they're doing here. And I think, don't they just want to see what you look like on camera and if you can deliver the lines? And we just kind of added more elements around that to help influence it.
Yeah, and it also helped us performance-wise, really get into the mood of the character. If you really, because we'd go outside and shoot a scene in an alley if it took place in an alley. If you got to be a drug dealer or something, we went and did that. Yep. We had a friend who owns a bar down the street, and we went and used the bar, and we brought the drone in there and handheld it because the camera's on a gimbal, shoots 4K UHD. So we were doing like neat stuff like that, and sitting at a bar, drinking, having scenes like that. We'd go to the locations and try to do that. So we thought it was neat.
It got X'd
pretty quickly from the Southeast agent. We kind of stopped doing it out here in Los Angeles. And the reason was just because when the auditions started picking up and when you get into pilot season, things like that, and you're doing maybe 2 auditions a day or maybe just a few a week, and you're both doing them and you live across town from each other and you know how the traffic is in LA. Yeah. It gets really hard to make mini movies.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I'm just realizing that now. At the time, it felt awesome.
It was awesome.
But I think we were, like you said, it was during pandemic. We're just trying to change things up, stir it up. Yeah. We were just also getting comfortable with auditioning in front of a camera, and lighting ourselves and just, editing our auditions, which is something I didn't really have to do before.
Yeah, but because the industry just kind of changed.
And not that I don't like that all going on us now. I just think, it was like we weren't prepared for it. Yeah. We all just made that transition and that change together.
Yeah. And what a change it was. No more in-person auditions, or they're very rare.
That's what we just heard.
And now your taping has to be quality. And so that's what you do. You step up your game. You just try to make your taping a little bit better. Maybe the reason I'm not booking right now is because I do so many auditions and I make jokes about how they just want to see my tapes. I think they're cool. But, maybe I need to get a new reader. Maybe I should have a different person read opposite me to kind of help me get in the mode. Maybe I need to get back into shooting outdoors. Maybe, or in the places, I don't know. Maybe I need to do something different. Huh? Maybe I just need to host a podcast full time and talk about what could have been.
Or just keep doing what you're doing.
You're right. Never give up. I joke.
It is this is a tough business. Yeah. And you've got a lot of work, but you're right. Gone are the days where you can now travel, all this local hire stuff. Oh, listen to our interview.
We talk about.
We get into all that stuff again.
Well, this is going to be coming around again too, right? Because we're going to be talking to people in the industry in every aspect and every field. So,
I love that about this. Yeah. I think we're actually benefiting.
We're lucky. We're lucky.
Hopefully you think the same.
Yeah, and when send us messages, tweet at us, find us on the gram, shoot us messages on any of our chats, and if you guys have any questions you'd like us to ask any of our upcoming talent or anything from past talent that you can think of, like, oh, you guys should have asked this, and
or even talent that you think we should have on.
There you go.
And we'll try to find a way to get them on.
Are you nervous today? Don't be nervous. It's Lidia Porto today, ladies and gentlemen. She's been in the industry for quite a few years. She's done everything from A to Z. She knows a lot of people. She works. People love her.
Yeah. One of those actors that just always has something going.
That's right. That's right. And a couple of years ago during the pandemic, we did a Christmas Carol reading with her, which we'll probably just get into in that. But Lidia Porto is fantastic.
Yeah. Happy to have her here today.
You're listening to The Actor Factor.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Lidia Porto.
Yeah, we've been talking amongst ourselves, and people are interested in that. They came for you. You are the show. You are the reason that everybody is here. So what are you working on currently? What do you have that's going on right this moment?
Right this moment, I'm on a podcast with these two great guys talking about acting. It's called The Actor Factor. You should check it out.
Yeah, that's the best answer yet.
I am in between seasons. We just wrapped up season 3 of Home Economics on ABC Wednesday nights at 9:30, 8:30 Central. Next day on Hulu, so you can get caught up on all 3 seasons on Hulu. And we just wrapped up shooting that in late October. I love being on that show. This is, like I said, my 3rd season on the show. And right after that, in early November, I did a fun guest star on Station 19. And after that, I've just been collecting royalties, baby. Those residuals pour in.
Well, with over 100 IMDb credits, I'm sure you're not doing too bad. I am
surprised sometimes. You know how you get those tiny little checks and you're like, okay. And then every once in a while, this big old check will come through and I'm like, my work is working for me, right?
I know a little bit about it in the commercial world. Residuals come in nicely. Yeah. But it is funny seeing those, those TV spots from 10, 12 years ago, and that says, 19 cents, 22 cents, someone rented it somewhere in Germany, 5 cents. Yeah. What? Some of these shows are still out there, but we have access to all those shows still and new ones. It's an abundance of TV right now.
An abundance of TV. I have my little schedule because I still am streaming I started streaming only when I moved to LA 10 years ago, and been streaming more and more. I have a lot of the little apps. I have my Paramount Plus and Disney Plus and Hulu, of course, and Netflix. And now I have an actual television. I actually bought a television about a month ago.
Congratulations. Welcome to the world.
Watching television on, a computer or a laptop or an iPad. I just got tired of the smaller screen and finally blew my enormous riches on like a big smart television, went through the whole programming, and now I can handle the abundance of television a little bit better. It's a little bit easier with a smart TV.
It's true.
Yeah, they do. They do make it a little bit easier. I want to rewind for a second because you said you moved here 10 years ago. Tell everybody where you're from. Where did you come from?
I moved here from Houston.
Yeah! Houston, Texas. Let's go, Astros.
I expected Diego in a couple of shows in Houston. One of them, Sparkman, he fucking blew the doors off of Bilingual Theater of Houston. And then there was the other one, the
Chilean Holiday?
Chilean Holiday, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. What a great time. That's one of my favorite experiences is diving into all those roles in Spikorama. But it was under your direction that really was inspiring and just really it was all about discovery, wasn't it? Each character and really finding out the true thing that moves each character and really diving in on that on such a creative level. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. But quite interesting enough, I did it 7 years later in LA, and Brad helped direct that one.
You did?
Yes, we did it at a theater that we built in Hollywood, and but I remember seeing your show in Houston. The funniest thing was smoked chicken.
I just, we had such cooperation from Bilingual Theater of Houston. Richard Reyes really gave us an incredible set. Even that truck with the gate fence and everything. I mean, they just went all out to show new space that they had just gotten, and it was a great experience. As community theater goes, we had a lot of sold-out houses. They even extended it. So that was a great experience you and I shared back then.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I'll never forget it. And then you came out here to be a superstar.
Well, I guess that's my goal, is to be a superstar.
You are a superstar.
But you're not already? I think you are a musician, actor, golfer.
He does it all. He's amazing.
I did tell Karina that if I could, if she would just give me a year off to just play golf, that maybe I can get into the senior PGA. If I can just win one of those tournaments and come home with a couple $100,000, I'll be happy.
Wow. Well, Karina's nice. Maybe you never know. She might. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's kind of a quiet time, now with the holidays, but thank God I do have some radio spots out there and things like that. So I'm taking some time off to myself and just catching up with things around the house. The one who's doing a great thing this week, I'll brag because he's my son.
Mateo.
Yeah, Mateo just got he's working on a pilot. He's got a recurring role if the pilot flies. And he's been in Atlanta for the last 2 weeks shooting the first few episodes for this new show.
Congratulations, Mateo.
That's so great.
Mateo.
That is so hard, to everybody who listens and all of you. It's something we always talk about, it's hard enough just to get an agent. And once you do not miss any auditions because you never know. You're a fool. You got to audition for everything. Don't turn anything down.
Never say no. No matter how challenging you think it is, you'll find a way to get it done. Yeah, that's great.
Mateo told me he didn't think he was going to get this one. He did it real quickly. He just kind of turned it in. And this is the one that hit,
Well,
for whatever reason you feel like, this might not be for me, do it anyway.
100%. I love that we brought Mateo up because one of my favorite shows is Jane the Virgin. And you had to take care of the character, young kid named Mateo. And I always thought that was so cute. And even more, I remember him on the stage when we were rehearsing for Spikorama back in was that 95, 96, 97?
95.
Yeah.
It was 95.
And he was only, a bit of 2 years, not a year old. And he would go onto the stage and try to reenact what he saw me doing on stage by myself, just talking to people. And he would go up there and just kind of just have conversation as a 1-year-old, like he's just doing what he saw.
That's amazing.
It was real and incredible. And here he is on a pilot now.
So this is what we do in a theater. And like as soon as Diego, the first time he did it, I just thought it was so adorable. Diego was rehearsing something where he was sitting in a chair. Diego got off the stage. Mateo just popped down, got up there, climbed on that chair, started talking about flying turtles and dragons and whatever he had on his little mind. And it was just, we just sat there and watched it when he did it. Gave him his applause.
Oh, it was magical.
And I guess he liked it.
Yeah, Diego's understudy became Diego's instant understudy, but now look at him. He's taking the leading role. That's fantastic, man. How cool.
We may have lost. Oh, there you are. He was in, was it Hamlet? He just did too.
Romeo and Juliet.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have Hamlet on the brain, but he just did Romeo and Juliet. I went and caught him do that. So he's into Shakespeare stuff, just like Brad. Brad's one of the best in Shakespeare.
Well,
are you doing Shakespeare?
Well, I started doing Shakespeare in high school, and then I did it in college. And then when I came out to Los Angeles, that's what actually brought me out when I was in college finishing up, is I booked the role of Hamlet in a production at Miracosta College Outdoor Amphitheater. Some independent production company was playing it. But boring story short, I started in theater. I love theater. Hamlet's one of my favorite shows of all time. I've played the role several times and thoroughly enjoy it. And I've done Romeo a couple times. I've done Tybalt. I've done a bunch of roles in a bunch of Shakespeare shows. We did a touring Shakespeare company called Shakespeare Under the Moon, and we toured as far as San Francisco all the way down to San Diego. We did 9 cities in July and August. And
we did a lot of Shakespeare back in the day. It was a traveling production that we did. That's how I met all our good friends like Anderson and Alex and A-Light, those good old fools. They all auditioned for our
Shakespeare troupe.
One that he created, but we had a traveling Shakespeare troupe, and we did that for 2 summers.
But nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about this.
There's a lot of history though right now in this phone call between growing up as kids, because he and my little brother went to high school together. So, and you're from Houston, so there's a lot of memories.
I did slumber parties at the house. We used to go when Diego lived in Galveston, and we'd go down there, and he'd be playing tennis with your girlfriend at the time, and we'd go down there and play tennis with you guys, man. Yeah, there's a lot of history.
Houston has a pretty cool theater scene.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, I don't think that people go around saying Houston theater, but if you live there, you can see a lot of great plays. Mateo has worked a lot in Houston theater. Catastrophic theater, you know how they do those original Tamari Cooper plays every summer, where the director gets together with her friends and actors from Houston and puts together an original musical based on her life or whatever she's got on her mind. They're crazy, they're creative, they're so great. And Mateo's worked on those several times. I'll fly down to Houston to see theater. I have done that in the past, and I still do. If a friend of mine was just in a show by Stephen Adley Gurgis, Riverside and Crazy. Flew out to see that. I mean, they put on good shows. Yeah.
I feel like when I left there in 99, it only got stronger and better there. And I was like, why did I leave?
Well, there are things that LA offers that Houston doesn't offer.
100%.
You know, when I came out here, my dream was to get a role as a regular in a series. I figured that would be a good retirement plan. You know, I moved out here when I was 50. And I say that only because I want to encourage people who are getting older to not give up, you know, because if it's in your heart, if it's something that you feel moved to do, there may be a reason for that. And everybody's life is completely different. Everybody's plan is completely different. So I moved out here. I had been garnering some interest. I had been flown out for some screen tests. I thought to myself, maybe this is the time, you know? So I moved out here, and I got my first regular in Get Shorty in 2016. That was about 3 years after I moved out here.
Fantastic.
I went to every audition. It didn't matter. I remember I was staying with you one time out in the desert, and they called me for an audition, and it was like juror crying. And I drove back to LA for juror crying because, it doesn't sound like much of a part, but that casting director got to see me and got to know me, and one thing led to another. I believe that that was a great move. It was scary, but I planned it out. I had some savings.
It was your time. I feel like you probably were nurturing that all within, and it just finally, when that moment came, you were like, you know what? I've been making this happen, and now it's time to actually make it happen. And you did.
Because I had my career in Houston. I had learned a lot in Houston. I brought all of that with me. And my career could have gone a different way. I was working in production those last few years when I was living in Houston. I'm sorry, somebody's trying to call me. I'll just have to call him back later. But it felt like the right time. Mateo had started college. That was another thing I didn't want to do, was sort of mess up his stability. So waited till he graduated from high school and started college. And now he's out here too. If you like television, I feel like LA is the place to be. Even though there is some good theater, and I go to theater out here in LA as well. I haven't done any plays, but I've participated in theater readings and things like that. I think there's a good theater culture. Anywhere there's actors, there's good theater culture. So, are you there? Because something happened.
Yep. Yeah, it's still actually, we can still hear you. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't see myself anymore.
Your voice is all we need. If our viewers here that were watching live on the YouTube, that if they could see it, then I would say, oh, son of a... So you were talking about Get Shorty, and I wanted to ask you about that. What is it like being married to Ray Romano?
Such a kind husband. It's so good when they're scared of you. You just keep them afraid for their lives, and they pretty much behave. No, he was wonderful. He was wonderful to work with. I hope you still continue to follow his work. He went on to do Made for Love for a couple of seasons on, I think it's HBO Max. I actually got to do a guest star on that show. He did a great work on that show. But he was amazing to work with. Magnificent actor. Everyone that we worked with on Get Shorty, I thought was really good.
I was jealous of working with Chris O'Dowd. Oh my gosh, I love that guy.
Chris O'Dowd is so great.
He just seems that way.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. Yes.
So let's go back. I want to go back to the Houston now thing. Walker, Texas Ranger, the first gig. Let's say any of the viewers at home, was that the first credit for you, SAG?
That was my first. In fact, I was pregnant with Mateo when I got that show. That was the very first television booking that I ever got in my life. Walker, Texas Ranger. That would make it 29 years ago, 30 years ago, something like that.
93.
That started that was your Taft-Hartley getting to SAG, everything all at once, huh?
Well, I didn't get into SAG right away, but I could have, I suppose, after that. But I lived in Houston, in Texas, where it's right to work, and so we mixed it up. I didn't join SAG until later.
Ah, that's good. That's good. Well, I was doing the same thing too, when I was doing non-union stuff, and then I got Taft-Hartley, and my manager was like, no, don't join yet because you can still do non-union things and you can still be making money. And I was like, no, I want to join the union. It was the most important thing to me to get that plastic SAG card, with the union number on it. And so I defied him. I said, I'm going down to the SAG office and I'm paying these dues, and I did. And it was good. It was good. And I started working. Everything works out. But Walker, Texas Ranger, I feel like, I always wanted to be on that show, and I never got cast, and I auditioned a few times, and quite a bummer because Chuck Norris, man, how cool.
He was very cool. Very cool to work with.
Who was representing you in Houston at that time?
I was working with Actors Etc., Denise Colburn.
Yeah. I was with Pastorini Bosby.
I went on to switch over to Pastorini Bosby some years later, and they still represent me in Texas to this day.
How cool!
I'll get a nice job for them. I did some work for McDonald's for several years through them. Even though I was out here, they found a studio for me to record at here, so I still keep a very good relationship with them.
That's very, very cool. Yeah, so do you have an agent in the Southeast at all? I mean, you probably don't even need anything like that, right? Because you're on a different level where you're working so much, but they have you there, and do they cover you for the Southeast and everything as well to go work in Atlanta, or you probably get offers from your agents here, huh?
Yeah, I get offers from my agents here for work in other cities, but I've been praying that I get mostly work in LA. I really love the stability of working in LA.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that the last show I got was 3 seasons here in LA, 25 minutes from my house. You know, I've traveled a lot for work, and at the beginning I enjoyed it, but I want to try to stay home. Not that I wouldn't travel for work, but hopefully it'll be someplace like Spain or Portugal. There's actually a show that they requested a letter of interest, but it's in development right now. And it's kind of a gothic Spanish adventure. And it's going to be shot, God willing, in Spain and Portugal. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, my goodness. So Diego and I are getting in your suitcase.
Yeah. Come on down.
Work on your Spanish, bro.
Hey.
Good to be bilingual. I'll say that. I'm very grateful that my mom made sure that I kept my Spanish after we moved here. I was originally born in Colombia, and when I was a kid, my mom would send me back and forth. So I was brought up in Colombia and in Houston almost simultaneously, going back and forth every year.
Wow.
Some here, some schooling there. And that's the reason I'm still bilingual to this day. I kept studying it because the language, if you don't practice it, you can forget it. But I'm very happy that I have that base of bilingual ability. It's been good for voiceover work and for acting work.
It's funny you say that because at our intro today, Diego and I were discussing exactly that.
Yeah.
Is how he's picking up
German.
Yeah.
And then I realized that,
Good.
ja, alles gut. Willkommen hier mit Brad und Diego. Wir haben a good time, ja?
Yeah. German, too. I studied German, too. I studied French. I'm fluent in French. I wish I could use my French a little bit more often, but that doesn't. Well, I mean, I use it socially, but I mean in my work. It'd be cool if one of my characters just started speaking French out of the blue.
So you don't have a character yet that has spoken French?
No.
Well, that leads me to there's the Duolingo right now is amazing. Do you know Duolingo?
Maybe I could do a commercial for Duolingo.
Who does? Diego does?
No, maybe I could.
Oh, you could. Yeah, you should be the spokesperson for them.
Be the spokesperson.
Let's get on that. Then you could speak French. You can get it
all right. Email Duolingo.
Let's put it on the list of things to do. I'm writing it down right now.
But what's funny is I felt like my Spanish is just kind of, I haven't been able to practice my Spanish over the years, and I feel like I was losing it. And here, these last few years, I'm learning German. I realized I just click this button over here, and I can also do lessons in Spanish. And so I've been doing a few lessons in both languages every day for the last few years, and it really is actually very beneficial.
It's so good to speak different languages. It's so great when you travel and then just meeting people and then just being able to appreciate music in different languages, literature, poetry in different languages, film. There's such great foreign film. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wonderful. I love the whole idea of multilingualism. It's really great.
So, actors, if you're out there listening, if anybody's whether you're beginning or you're a novice here, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Go and start learning another language.
It's true. It's so easy. It's at your fingertips these days. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things you could do.
Because that's what we're talking about. Is maybe you're not working, maybe you're not getting auditions, but that doesn't change the fact that you're an actor and want to be creative. So it's like making your own work, just getting involved, grabbing your camera and shooting something or starting a podcast.
During the hiatus, well, not the hiatus, but when the pandemic shut things down, I took some filmmaking classes and made some short films. I mean, it's just I think it is about being creative and staying creative and never letting yourself get too discouraged, because the way the way this business works, that next opportunity could be right around the corner, and you don't want to have to dig yourself out of a depression hole to be ready for that audition. You want to keep your spirits up and
it's true.
And stay ready. So you don't have to get ready.
There you go.
Another one of the things that I love about you, Lidia, knowing you over the years, and I was telling Brad about this earlier, is that first of all, you nailed it by saying never say no to an audition. Just go do it, But you also are so great that every once in a while, amongst all these major shows that you've been working on, I'll still give you a call and say, hey, my friend's shooting this little project over here. It's for a few hours of your time, and you always
actually
say
go do
yes.
it. Yes.
You always say yes, and you come and you do it. And my gosh, that's exactly what I think. And when I said yes to being an actor years ago, that's what I committed to, And it comes in so many forms and so many fashions, but we have to just always be prepared and ready for anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I can do everything. Every once in a while, I have to say no if there's a conflict. But it is fun. I just got an email I participate in this thing called Cornet Lab, which is a lab that helps screenwriters develop their screenplays. Mateo got involved, and during the hiatus, they started going online. And so it was easy enough for me to just jump in. And now, since I'm not working on home economics, I jumped in again and, just got a call from a guy who's new to the group and wants me to read one of his parts. I love doing things like that. I mean, that's going to help somebody develop a screenplay. You never know where that's going to lead. It's good to have all kinds of creatives in your community, it seems to me, too. Actors don't just hang out with actors. Like, hang out with writers, hang out with directors, hang out with actors that aren't in your category. Like, I don't know. It's just fun. One thing that I've loved about LA is that so many people are doing projects, and I get these offers every few times. Usually I do maybe one or two short films a year, where people are putting together shorter films, and it's just fun, and I'm available, and I go do it. And some of them have done great at festivals. One of them, I did a short film when I first got here. And one of the reasons I really wanted to do it is because I was the lead character. And at that point I was like, yes, visualize me as the lead character. And I ended up getting an acting award in Spain from that short film. Bravo. So where these smaller projects may lead you. And yes, if I'm available, if I have the time, if it speaks to me, I love to jump into all these other little projects.
And we love having you. Any project you jump on, you immediately elevate that project. But for people who don't know, you gotta check out Lidia's work. And I'm sure if you're tuning in, you do know. But if you don't, Jesus, people, this is the Gary Oldman. This is the female Gary Oldman right here. If you don't get it, she's a shapeshifter. She can do Southern accents, and she does it all, man. Tune in. You're so gifted. I'm jealous.
That's quite the compliment. Thank you.
I mean, Diego and I, because, I've seen your shows, and Diego and I, of course, refresh ourselves, and we start watching reels and then episodes, and we're just getting into this. I'm like, well, we got to turn these shows off, man, because we got to start talking to her, But you get lost in it, and it's like we're watching all these scenes, and I'm like, that's not okay. That is her. Holy shit, And I'm not talking about the Get Shorties or the Home Economics or any of that, any of the big stuff where you're prominent, you're leading, and you're the badass. I'm talking about the other stuff, which like you said before, there are no small parts, there's no bit stuff.
The diner scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of your best stuff is when you're really just reacting to people because you're saying so much when you say nothing at all. And it's like, it's so amazing to watch just these little nuances that you have. And it's cool, man. But most actors don't realize it. That takes time. You got to perfect that, man. That is a talent. That is a craft. It's like a voiceover actor.
I've always known Lidia to be really great with words. I mean, you love poetry and you you write as well. So when you approach a script and you need to memorize it, and what kind of notes do you give yourself on a script?
Yeah, do you break it down?
Yeah, I try to read the entire script, of course, to get the context not only of what my lines are, but what does anybody else say about me, and what can I find out about the entire context. So I usually read the script more than once.
If you have access to the full script, which is great sometimes.
If I have access to the full script, of course. Not always. If I'm working on an audition, sometimes they give you a very limited amount.
Yeah.
You know, you have to make it up. I'll tell you, for shorter auditions, even if it's a line, even if it's 2 lines, I try to give it a complete arc. What was happening before, what's happening during, what affects her during that moment, what changes, where does she go from there? Because they all do have an arc. And I think sometimes it's easy to think it's less than because it's just 1 or 2 lines, you know? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why I booked so many co-stars or whatever when I first got. But I do feel like I have to really think about what the other person is saying to me, how it's landing, what history do we have, how are their words affecting me, what's going on inside, why do I decide to say every word that I decide to say and not another word, why do I choose those words, what do they mean to me? You know, I go into a lot of that kind of thought process. I do a lot of reading it a lot of different ways. Because every once in a while, something really great has come out, you know, the 10th time I read it through. So I try not to leave it too superficial or stop at the first or second interpretation. I figure the first or second interpretation is probably what most people are going to bring to the audition. Mm-hmm. So I try to find something that maybe isn't what I would have expected. I try to surprise myself, you know?
Smart.
And when to that, then it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Maybe I'll try that. You know, maybe a lot of other people wouldn't have stayed with it long enough to read it that way either. So, you know, that kind of process, just staying with the script a little bit longer than I'm inclined to do usually yields some good results.
Yeah. You just want to get as much information as you possibly can with what's given to you, basically.
Exactly. And, but not overthink it either, you know? You got to let it go at some point and just do it.
Are you enjoying the self-tape that we've gotten into since the pandemic?
Yeah. You know, it's certainly convenient. You know, I can pull out an audition here at my house. Sometimes it's hard to find a reader, but I have figured out how to use Zoom. So sometimes I can have readers read for me through Zoom. My son and I partner with each other a lot in terms of reading for each other, and I have 2 or 3 other friends that are usually available. So I've gotten acclimated to it.
Well, you were saying, you know, you get to take so many more opportunities for takes now when we get instant feedback by watching ourselves. It seems very advantageous to us to take advantage of that.
Yeah. You can check your eye lines. You know, you can check a lot of things right away. And it certainly is practice for working on camera, you know.
Yeah, that's one thing is, you know, especially if you're new to the game, you know, you got to know what you look like on tape. You got to know what you sound like, and you can't hate it because that's who you are, and you just got to roll with it. But you got to be comfortable. It's definitely seeing yourself. I remember in the beginning when I was shooting things, you know, my 5 and unders, and I wouldn't even want to watch those when they came out because I just felt like, oh my God, I can't watch myself on tape. And then I thought, well, what the hell am I doing here then, man? If you can't watch yourself, you're gonna have to see yourself. You got to be comfortable with it, you know, and you got to figure out a way to work it because I'm trying to do what you're doing, Lidia, which is the morphing, the shapeshifting, you know, being a great character actor as opposed to a personality actor, you know, because I don't think that they like my personality. I'm not booging. So
I'm a film actor, not a commercial actor.
I'm a lump of clay. Do with it what you will.
Exactly. Love that.
So you produce as well and direct as well and write?
Well, I have in the past, but I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying just being an actor right now.
Yeah.
So I haven't really, but I've written short films and when I was in Houston, I worked for the Baylor College of Medicine. They had an outreach department that included plays and videos and PSAs, and so I wrote and produced and directed a lot of that stuff for them. I worked with playwrights to produce plays that had health education messages. I wrote and produced a whole interactive series on diabetes education based on a Hispanic family. And so that was the time in my life when I was really doing a lot of writing and producing and directing. And when I got here, I've done a couple of short films just for fun, like maybe 3 or 4 little things that didn't go anywhere. One of them got an audience award at a festival that we submitted it to. And but lately I've just been giving myself permission to be an actor and to kind of focus on that. I know that we're encouraged to do a lot of other stuff, and maybe sometime I will go back to it. But for the last 3 years, I've been committed to this great show, and we do a lot of episodes, and so it just seemed like fun to just focus on that, and do whatever other acting work came by the side. And I've also done a little traveling, so I'm kind of focusing on that right now.
Heck yeah, that's fantastic. What's your favorite country that you've traveled to so far?
Well, I'm from Colombia, and I hadn't been there into my hometown where I'm born. I hadn't been there in like 10 years. So the trip back there was sentimental. It was wonderful. It was emotional. It was amazing to see how much the city has changed. It was great. So that was my best trip last year, Colombia. I love going to Europe, and I'm curious about Portugal. I really want to visit Portugal.
You've mentioned it 3 times already.
You gotta
go.
I think I gotta go.
Well, I hope you book something there, and I hope the project takes you to Portugal.
That would be a great way to go.
Absolutely, on somebody else's dime. It's like free food is always the best tasting food. No, that's not always true.
To do while I'm there. I did a trip recently that was really cool. I had a job in New York, and so I thought, since I'm in New York, I'm going to go ahead and visit some friends in France and Barcelona. So I went to Barcelona. I went to the south of France. I went to north of France where I have some friends. Back to Barcelona. That was a very cool trip. I'd never been to Barcelona before. That was amazing. Got me very excited about Spain. The following year, I went to Madrid, and that was very cool. So I love Spain. I studied French in college, and I did a year abroad, during my college, where I lived in France for a year and studied there. So I had been to France a lot, and I hadn't really been to Spain a lot. And I wanted to correct that, and I loved it. If you haven't been to Spain, please go. Madrid is amazing. Have you been?
I have been. Green and I were there. We went. I think we stayed 5-6 days, and we just stayed in a different city every night.
Wow.
This was about 3 or 4 years ago. Because when we do Germany, we like to do another trip attached to it. We did Scotland our first year, and then Spain the following year, and then we were dealing with pandemic, so we've kind of had to shorten some of our trips, but loved it. In fact, I was just going to say, all the streets out there are either my middle name or my last name. Villarreal Avenue or Garcia Street, and they're everywhere, and I swear that I'm sure that's where all my immediate family has originated from, because they all look like my cousins. They all look like they could have been my brother. Honestly, I never felt so familiar in a place in my whole life. I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. So,
but Spain's gorgeous.
I enjoy traveling. It's amazing to me to just be able to get in a machine and suddenly be in another place.
What's one of your best traveling to to work on a show or work on a film? Yeah. What's your best story, if you can think of one, that pertains to that?
It's overseas, but I spent 2 weeks in Minnesota shooting a film called Girl Missing. I think it came out on Lifetime a few years ago. I'd never been to Minnesota before. We stayed in Milwaukee and is St. Paul. Is that it? Or am I getting all?
There's a St. Paul for sure.
St. Paul. I loved the architecture. We got to shoot in a big older home that is very famous. We also got to go up to another older home, like in Duluth, Minnesota, or and that was very cool. That was, I'd never been to that part of the country. I got to see like a big Catholic cathedral that was built by the Catholics that came to Minnesota. That was amazing. Like, I didn't realize we had that much beautiful architecture right here in the United States. I'm used to going to Europe to see stuff like that. Go to Minnesota.
It's true.
It's beautiful. So that was a really cool trip. And then I got to know everybody who was working with us. They were very kind to me. They would come and pick me up every morning and take me to set. I just really enjoyed seeing something completely different like that. I've worked in Vancouver. I really enjoyed my time in Albuquerque when we shot the first season of Get Shorty. I loved New Mexico. That was another amazing place right here in the United States that has amazing architecture, history. Santa Fe is incredible. Not only the architecture, but the natural topography and the things that you can see because of the indigenous population that they've had, that they've still maintained a lot of the historical artifacts and architecture from that time. I really like New Mexico because of that. It's got a very kind of a spiritual vibe, when you go there. So
yeah, I felt that way just driving through it, anytime going back to Houston, taking the 10 down there, and it does feel that way, especially if you're catching it sunrise or sunset and all the colors. It just is something about it. The energy there is just like, oh. Mm-hmm.
We were staying at a hotel that used to be a mental hospital. People swore that it was haunted, so Ray Romano didn't want to stay there. He stayed at a newer hotel. But I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was kind of cool, and you could see. It was shaped almost like a ship, and it had this rooftop bar, and you could see as the sun went down, they call it the Sandia Mountains. Spanish, Sandia means watermelon. Mm-hmm. They call them the Watermelon Mountains because they turn pink at sunset. Beautiful. It's so beautiful. We used to go up there almost every night for happy hour just to watch the sun go down. They've got very dramatic natural phenomena there in New Mexico. Really beautiful.
Yeah, that's why the aliens travel there. They love it too.
Yeah, that's why.
Vancouver is nice, though. I've been up to the Couve, and I actually have a good friend, Jerry Trimble and Amit Dolans. They live up there, and they're dual citizens up here and there. So, and they ended up getting their dual citizenship years ago because they wanted to go in there and work in the industry as well. But it's super beautiful up there. Super clean water. It's great drinking water there. The weather's really nice. Great for hikes. It's cold in winter, of course.
Gorgeous. So yeah, my acting career has brought me many wonderful, beautiful opportunities that I am incredibly grateful for. That is for sure. Meeting amazing people, going to great places. It's just fun. It's been really fun.
The more experiences, the more you have to be playful as an actor. And you are the most playful person I know.
Absolutely.
Well, it's one thing that you can always tell yourself when you're an actor is whatever happens to you in life, whether it be something sad, whether it be something happy, quirky, weird, whatever it is, it can go into that little Rolodex of experiences that you can go to for whatever comes up in terms of the roles you're invited to play. So there's a real synergy between life and work that has been very fun to experience throughout my life, for sure.
Well, beautiful. That is beautiful. We appreciate you sharing some of that with us today.
I know. We could go on for hours and hours and hours, I believe.
We know you have things to do.
Right.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my gosh. You were on the top of our list. I'd love to see you a little more often, but safe adventures here for you, and good luck with the new projects and with the season of Home Economics. It's fantastic.
Yes.
You keep watching.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays.
We'll do it. Thank you, everybody. That was Lidia Porto. Lydia, thank you, and good luck and everything. And don't be a stranger. Jump back in anytime.
We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.
You're listening to The Actor Factor.
That was absolutely fantastic. She's amazing. She really is. I mean, she really is amazing. She's done a
knowledgeable, insightful.
Yeah.
super sweet conversationalist.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing her on as a guest.
Yeah, I mean, she's over the years, when you love to see the people you know and that you've done work with, and we're all in this adventure together of trying to audition and book, and we all have different stories and we get there in different ways.
Yeah.
But we are like she said, she moved out here when she was 50, and she's still made it happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're that creative type and you have it in you, who's to say that you can't always re-spark that?
No, absolutely, man. You never know when your time is. It's your time. Any time could be your time. Don't give up. You got to stick with it. Don't miss auditions. Yeah, Lydia's proof of that. She's an amazing working actor, and we're so thankful to have her on. Thank you for bringing her on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that she says yes to a lot of things.
Yeah, as you should too. Say yes. Live a little.
This has been the Actor Factor Podcast with Brad Ashton and Diego Garcia.